Busyness is not an excuse, and you don't make that excuse in other areas. Like if you prioritize your health, you don't say, I'm too busy to work out, because otherwise you wouldn't get to the gym. So there's other areas in your life where you are prioritizing things that are important to you, and that is the key. You need to understand that you prioritize what is important to you. You find time and you create time for what is important to you.
If you've got more than 30 minutes of screen time a day, you have time to work on your relationship.
100%.
Couples that we work with, aren't working hours and hours every day on their relationship. They're doing small micro moments every day, which add up to massive results over
We're talking
time.
like, 10, 20 minutes for your partner a day. If you cannot find 10 or 20 minutes in your entire day for your partner, and you're using I'm too busy as an excuse, you should not be in a relationship. Welcome back to the Save My Marriage podcast. I'm Aston and this is my husband Adam. Today we are talking about being too busy for your relationship. We hear this problem, this complaint, this excuse all of the time from modern day couples who just basically think that they are too busy for their relationship. They say things like, I'll do it later, but later never comes. They end up saying that they're building their business or working in their job or their career, and they're doing it all for the family, but they're so busy working that there is no time to connect with the family.
Another one on this, which ties in, it's very similar but slightly different, and a lot of the men tell this. Once things settle down, then we'll have time to focus on the relationship. So once the kids have grown up, once they're a little bit older, or once we get through this particular period that we're in with whatever it is, whether it's a particular stage of business or career or some other challenges that you might be having, then things will be easier.
Yeah.
And we hear this on repeat. It's a complete lie.
It's a complete lie.
It never works out.
It doesn't work. It's keeping you stuck. So in this episode, we are going to help you break through this, because it's likely one of you or both of you is stuck in this pattern. And that's a big reason why your relationship is the way it is, why you're feeling disconnected, why you're not communicating, or if you do communicate, you're only talking about logistics like food shopping and picking up, things from the shop and kids and schedules and laundry and cleaning. And that's why you feel like roommates, because you're not putting any time or energy into your relationship. It's not confusing why this happens. So we need to see it for what it is. It's an excuse, and we need to really face the truth. Like I have literally had to say to couples before, if you're going to continue to use being busy as an excuse to not put time and effort into your relationship, maybe you shouldn't be in a relationship, because honestly, you wouldn't do that to your work. So imagine this was your work and you're saying to your boss, I just don't have time for work. Well, you're going to lose your job. They're exactly. Not going to accept that excuse, and they're not going to hang around. So neither should your partner. So we really want to dive into this, because I know a lot of people tell this story, and it's so easy, it's so normalized to tell this story. Everyone almost celebrates you for being busy. So the problem with this is when you're busy at work, you are likely disconnected from the family, and Adam fell into this trap 6 or 7 years ago now, where he would just leave the home and go to work, and he didn't know what was going on for me, what was going on for the kids. And as a result, I felt really isolated and really alone in our relationship, and resentful and unsupported, and all those things crept in. And I see so many couples fall into this like divide and conquer trap, where not always, but typically the man is out there pursuing a career, making money, and the woman is at home with the kids, like managing every other aspect of their life. And whilst a lot of couples are doing this, I don't think it's working for a lot of couples, because when I ask them, like, how do you feel? Like, are you guys like achieving your goals? Are you like living the life you want to live? A lot of them say, we're just making it work. We're just trying to survive this season. We're just kind of pushing through. And for a lot of them, it actually creates a lot of trauma, which I don't think people talk about, where, especially for the partner left at home, they're just struggling by themselves, and they really feel actually abandoned by their partner. Even if their partner's working for the family, logically that makes sense, but when you drop into how you feel in your body, and you're left at home to just manage everything else, you're going to feel abandoned.
Yep.
So it's not really working, and it wasn't working for us either. And you really have to start to get honest with yourself. I think that's where we kind of realized, okay, this is a lie and we can't keep using busyness as a lie, because life was not going to slow down by itself. We had to consciously and intentionally slow our life down and start to make more intentional choices. So I know for you, Adam, you said you would tell the lie of being busy at work for a long time, but what was really underneath the busyness story? Because I think this is what most couples don't get to. On the surface, it's like, I'm busy. Okay, I get that. We're all busy. But underneath the busyness, I know for you and all the couples that we work with, there are things you're avoiding feeling that are hiding underneath the busyness. Feelings like feeling like a failure, not feeling good enough, scared of growth. Like you're more comfortable in the pain and suffering of busyness than actually slowing down and facing the truth of what's really going on.
You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly right. I think there was a couple of parts to it. There's the uncomfortable feelings that I didn't know what was going on at home. I didn't know how to be a great husband, a great father. I didn't know how to provide in the home. It all felt, I was disconnected because I wasn't spending enough time there and I wasn't invested when I was there. I was half in, half out. So I wasn't attuned. Wasn't attuned to you. I wasn't attuned to the kids. I didn't know what you needed, what they needed. And that if you're not attuned, which takes effort, it takes practice, it takes time, it made me feel incompetent. Like I couldn't actually do a good job in the home.
Yeah.
And I know for a lot of men, and this was true for me as well, it's easier at work because you feel competent. You know what you need to do. It's easy to get a result and you can do that and feel good. Whereas at home, it feels it can feel, especially in the early stages, if you don't put in the work after you've had children for the first time, it can feel like you can't win. You don't know how to win at the game of
because it's a slightly different game.
It's a different skill set.
So
I had to get uncomfortable and develop that skill set. The other part was not meeting my own needs, and therefore that bled into not being able to provide and not bring all of myself to home because I was neglecting my own needs, and then it was hard for me to meet the needs of everybody else in the home.
Yeah,
I was and a lot of men will do this. They'll work crazy hours. They'll be completely exhausted and depleted, but won't actually acknowledge that, won't take care of themselves. And then it's not really a surprise that you can't really show up for other people 110% because you haven't shown up for yourself 110%.
Yeah.
And this was a pattern for me as well.
And I think the key here as well is, like you said, a lot of men actually fear the emotional intimacy in the marriage, in the family, with their children. They fear even slowing down. A lot of them have a fear of, like, if I slow down, it's all going to fall apart. Like, how am I going to keep it going? So they just feed into the pressure with more busyness. But it's just so, I wish I could help all men see. And I know eventually you did see this. And you actually have to slow down to speed up. You have to slow down to get clarity, to even know, is this what I want? And actually, what do we want? Instead of like creating your life or your marriage or your family, your home from like survival and just surviving every day and just getting by and getting through, why not think about it from the perspective of what do we actually want? And a lot of couples we work with, like when we take them through the vision process, which is where they take their power back, and this is where they learn to stop feeding into busyness and they actually get clear on what is the vision for our relationship. What do we actually want? Not what society tells you to do. What do we want? And then what do our priorities need to be to reflect getting what we want? And like, we never fall into busyness anymore. We have a full life, yes, but we have a vision that we create for our life and our relationship, and our priorities follow that. Our values follow that. And then it's very easy for us to decide what we say yes to and what we say no to.
Yep.
And we're both clear on that. We're both on the same page. And we update this vision like minimum once a year, but actually sometimes every 6 months with the changes that we're going through.
Yep.
So we're never accidentally falling into busy or unconsciously like everybody else does. And I think that's the missing piece, that they don't slow down and ask the hard questions of, is this actually working for us? You know, if you're living somewhere where you're not happy, if you're working in a job where you're not happy, the decision to leave or change doesn't get easier with time. It gets easier when you face it.
Yeah.
Literally, the clarity comes when you face it and you stop running and you stop hiding and avoiding it. And I think that's the key message that we want you to take away from this. If you're telling yourself you're too busy, the key is you need to slow down and you need to ask yourself some questions to get clear on what you actually want.
100%. There's a psychological principle, I think it might be Moore's law, but I could be getting that wrong, where we fill the time allocated.
Yeah.
So if you have, everyone has 24 hours in a day and we all have a certain number of waking hours, you are, as a human, you're going to fill that time with stuff.
Definitely.
That's just how it is. Unless you're a monk, you know, in a monastery and you're just meditating all day, every other human on earth is filling that time with something. And we all have the same amount of time. So it really, the only difference is that instead of waiting for things to change, because time alone doesn't change anything.
No.
You can wait your entire life and nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
The only thing that changes something is a decision. So like Aston said, slowing down, but also making a decision to slow down and making a decision that you want to take things in a different direction. So if you're listening to this and you're using that excuse that we don't have time to work on our relationship, it's probably time to reassess. Maybe take a look at your phone and look at how much screen time on your phone that you have per day. That's just your phone. Then look at your TV and how much time you sit in front of that. If you've got more than 30 minutes of screen time a day, you have time to work on your relationship.
100%.
Couples that we work with, aren't working hours and hours every day on their relationship. They're doing small micro moments every day.
Yeah.
Which add up to massive results over
We're talking
over time.
like, 10, 20 minutes for your partner a day. If you cannot find 10 or 20 minutes in your entire day for your partner and you're using I'm too busy as an excuse, you should not be in a relationship.
Yeah.
And you need to be that honest with yourself. Busyness is not an excuse, and you don't make that excuse in other areas. Like if you prioritize your health, you don't say I'm too busy to work out, because otherwise you wouldn't get to the gym. You don't say to your kids, I'm too busy to parent you and meet your needs. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to parent them. So there's other areas in your life where you are prioritizing things that are important to you. And that is the key. You need to understand that you prioritize what is important to you. You find time and you create time for what is important to you. So if you're saying to your partner, I'm too busy to work on our relationship right now, I'm too busy maybe later, you need to understand that what you're actually saying to your partner and how you're making them feel is, my wife or my husband is not important to me right now. That's what you're saying. And some of you need to hear that so that you stop lying to yourself and that you understand why your partner is in so much pain, why they're hurting so much, because they're likely trying to connect with you and you're using work as an excuse. And then you're often telling the story, well, I'm working for you. And then you're guilting them. And that's not helpful, and that the truth behind that is you're just trying to protect something you don't want to feel.
Yep.
Like we said, you don't want to feel that you're failing. You don't want to feel that you're not doing enough. You don't want to face that you are hiding from and avoiding intimacy. You don't want to face that you're actually not happy in your life. You're not living the life you want to live. You're not doing the work you want to do. You're not living on purpose, and you're hiding behind work or busyness. So you need to stop hiding. You need to get really honest. And how you can do that is start by asking some questions. Questions like, if you could no longer use busyness as an excuse, we literally deleted the word busy from our vocabulary. And I would encourage you to do that. If you were no longer allowed to use the word busy as an excuse, what would you actually say? What is the truth? What uncomfortable feelings would actually start to surface when you stopped hiding and you face the truth? If you feel like it's safer to hide behind work, what would happen if you no longer could hide behind work and you had to look at what's underneath that? What would be going on for you? What would become possible in your life if you stopped using busyness as an excuse and you started to be honest and prioritize what is actually important to you, which a lot of people say, my family is the most important thing to me. My wife or my husband is the most important thing to me. Well, actions speak louder than words. If you look in your calendar right now, I know what's important to you or a priority to you based on where all of your time is allocated to. So if I look in your calendar and there is no dates, there is no time to check in with your partner, there's no family time, there's no going to kids' sports or connecting with your kids, then I'm not going to believe you that they're a priority to you, because your actions speak louder. So it's really important that you get honest with yourself. It does not mean shame yourself, okay? Some of you go, oh, you start to self-loathe and punish yourself and shame yourself. It's not helpful at all. I understand that you have to work. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Logically, we all know that. However, a lot of you are not working intentionally. You're not working in accordance with your values. You're not working in accordance with what's actually matters to you and your purpose. And that's why you're not happy. And then a lot of you blame your partners for that, but you're not taking responsibility that you haven't actually intentionally created a life that you wanted. You've just fallen into this life and now you're just making it work. And it's 2025. Like, there are so many opportunities for work. You can start businesses, you can do consulting, you can work from home. Like, there are so many possibilities now that have not been available for people for a long time. And I think people need to start exploring them. They need to start to, it's uncomfortable, but it's also uncomfortable doing work you don't like and not having time for the things that are important to you. That's really uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So we really would love you to think about what might become possible in your life and in your marriage or your relationship if you stopped living that lie and believing that excuse that you're too busy at work, because the truth is it's just a story. And you can rewrite that story. We are living proof that we rewrote that story. All the clients that work with us, they come to the one-day retreat. We've got some more one-day retreats coming up soon. And a lot of people will say, oh, I'm too busy for my relationship. Well, at the end of the one-day retreat, we remind them, you've just spent 6 hours with us focused on your relationship. So it's not really true that you don't have time for your relationship, is it? And it really shifts that belief, because they've literally just spent a whole day focused on their relationship and they've made so much progress in a short amount of time, and they now have something to actually prioritize. They have a reason to prioritize it because they're in a good place.
Yep.
And I think that's the other thing. If you're not in a good place in your relationship, then you think, well, what's the point? What's the point in prioritizing it? We're not even getting along. And if that is you, then definitely you should come along to one of our one-day Recreate Your Relationship retreats. We do have more dates coming out for 2026, and we'll put a link down the bottom. We've already had so many messages and emails about when are the next retreats, because they are so powerful. And if you're in a bad place, or you're not feeling great, or you feel like you are too busy for your relationship, this is a great first step to really make a lot of progress in a short amount of time, and to prove to yourself and your partner that you absolutely do have time for your relationship. And when you do, you get the benefits. Work is easier, life is easier, parenting is easier, all of the things. So we would love to see you there. It's an amazing day. We'd love to see you there. We'll put the link in the show notes below. And we really hope that you've got some value from this episode. And if you have, please leave a review, share it with friends, share it with your partner if they're a bit of a workaholic and maybe they need this reminder that, yes, we all have to work, but what are we working for? We're working for our partners, for our family. So we want to make sure we're connecting to that as well. Like, what is the point in having a busy work life but an empty marriage and an empty home? Like, what is the point?
Yeah.
So
it's a waste.
Yeah, we really hope you got a lot from this episode, and we'll see you in the next one.